7 Jewish money habits rich follows, but never talks. Have you ever wondered why certain families seem to maintain wealth across generations, while others struggle financially despite earning good incomes? I used to think financial success was simply about making more money until I began studying the centuries-old money traditions of Jewish culture. What if I told you that some of the world's wealthiest people follow specific financial principles that have been refined over thousands of years? Most Americans focus solely on earning more, without understanding the deeper habits that actually build and preserve wealth across generations. Here's something fascinating. Jewish people make up less than 2% of the American population, but represent over 30% of American billionaires and an impressive percentage of successful entrepreneurs and investors. This remarkable achievement isn't random or coincidental. It stems from specific financial habits passed down through generations, habits that anyone can learn and apply regardless of their background. Today, I'm going to share 7 powerful Jewish money principles that many wealthy people follow, but rarely discuss publicly. These aren't quick-fix strategies or get-rich-quick schemes. These are time-tested habits that have helped build and preserve wealth through wars, depressions, and every economic cycle imaginable. Some of these might challenge your current beliefs about money. Others might confirm what you've intuitively sensed, but all of them could transform your financial future. By the end of this video, I'll reveal the single most important Jewish financial principle, one so fundamental yet counterintuitive that implementing it could completely change your family's financial trajectory for generations. It's a concept rarely taught in traditional financial education, yet it forms the cornerstone of sustainable wealth building. If you're ready to learn these powerful financial traditions that have stood the test of time, type wisdom in the comments. Let me know you're ready to discover these crucial habits that wealthy people practice, but seldom discuss publicly. Now, let's dive into the first Jewish money habit that might completely reframe how you think about earning and saving. Habit number 1, financial education as a family value. Have you noticed how some families seem to naturally produce financially savvy children? This isn't accidental. One of the most powerful Jewish financial traditions is treating money education as a fundamental family responsibility, not a taboo subject to be avoided. In many Jewish households, financial literacy begins in early childhood and continues throughout life, with elders actively teaching younger generations about saving, investing, business concepts, and money management as a core part of parenting. This approach stands in stark contrast to most American families, where money discussions are often considered impolite or uncomfortable. Many parents hope their children will somehow absorb financial knowledge on their own or through formal education, a system that typically provides almost no practical money management instruction. The Jewish tradition recognizes that financial wisdom must be intentionally passed down, creating an intergenerational advantage that compounds over time. I remember visiting the home of David, a successful business owner from a long line of entrepreneurs. What struck me most wasn't the family's wealth, but how naturally his 12-year-old daughter joined our conversation about business opportunities. When I commented on her impressive understanding, David explained, "In our tradition, teaching children about money is as important as teaching them about health or education. We have regular family discussions about saving, investing, and business concepts. It's not about making money the center of life. It's about removing the mystery and fear around it. The approach typically involves age-appropriate, practical education. Young children learn about saving through transparent discussions of family purchases and trade-offs. Teenagers are often included in family financial decisions and investment discussions. Many Jewish families also provide small amount of capital for young people to practice investing or entrepreneurship, creating safe opportunities to learn through direct experience with guidance from elders. What makes this tradition particularly powerful is its continuity. Financial education isn't a one-time conversation, but an ongoing dialogue that evolves as children mature. Questions are welcomed, mistakes are treated as learning opportunities, and emotional aspects of money, fear, greed, security, are discussed openly rather than ignored. This creates a healthy relationship with money based on knowledge rather than emotion or avoidance. While formal education focuses primarily on earning capacity, this family-based financial education ensures that earning translates to actual wealth building rather than being undermined by poor money management. For anyone seeking to apply this principle, begin by making money discussions a natural, judgment-free part of family life. tailoring the complexity to each child's developmental stage. Now, let's explore the second powerful habit that creates a foundation for generational wealth building. Habit number 2, living below your means as a cultural virtue. Have you ever received a raise or bonus and immediately upgraded your lifestyle to match? That's a pattern you'll rarely observe in financially successful Jewish families, who commonly practice a principle that sounds simple yet proves remarkably difficult for most Americans: consistently living below their means regardless of income level. What makes this habit particularly powerful is that it's not viewed as deprivation, but as a cultural virtue, a sign of wisdom rather than a limitation. The tradition values financial margin, the gap between what you earn and what you spend, as fundamental to both security and opportunity. This principle operates across all income levels. Whether earning $50,000 or $500,000 annually, maintaining significant financial margin remains a priority. This contrasts sharply with the consumption-focused American norm where spending typically rises to meet or exceed income, regardless of earning power. I remember a conversation with Sarah, a physician from a family of successful professionals. Despite her substantial income, she lived in a modest home and drove a reliable but unflashy vehicle. When I asked about this, her response was illuminating. In my family, showing off wealth has always been considered somewhat embarrassing, a sign of poor judgment, not success. My grandmother used to say, "Rich people stay rich by living like they're not." This isn't about deprivation. It's about prioritizing financial security and long-term thinking over immediate gratification. This outlook transforms saving from a burdensome chore into a natural expression of values. Rather than focusing on what they're giving up by saving, practitioners of this habit focus on what they're gaining: security, independence, and the ability to seize opportunities or weather challenges. They derive satisfaction not from displaying wealth through consumption, but from the growing financial strength that conservative living provides. The practical application typically involves maintaining lifestyle stability despite income growth. Raises, bonuses, and windfalls are primarily directed toward wealth building rather than lifestyle expansion. Housing, vehicles, and other major expenses are chosen based on actual needs rather than stretching to achieve maximum consumption potential. This creates a compounding advantage as income increases over time. The gap between earning and spending widens, accelerating wealth accumulation. What's particularly notable is how this principle becomes embedded in identity, operating almost automatically rather than requiring constant willpower. The questions shift from "how much can I afford?" to "how much do I actually need to live well?" This subtle but profound perspective shift creates the foundation upon which many other wealth-building habits can flourish. Let's explore our third habit, which transforms how money flows through your life. Habit number 3, the pay yourself first principle. Have you noticed how most people handle their monthly finances? They receive income, pay bills, cover expenses, and then hope to save whatever might remain, which, for most Americans, is nothing. One of the most powerful Jewish financial habits completely inverts this approach through what's often called the pay yourself first principle. This tradition treats savings and investment not as optional afterthoughts, but as the first and most important bills to be paid each month before any discretionary spending occurs. While this concept has entered mainstream financial advice, what makes the traditional Jewish approach distinctive is both its discipline and its proportional nature. The practice typically involves automatically directing a fixed percentage of all income, traditionally at least 10 to 20%, to savings and investments before any other spending decisions are made. This happens regardless of income level, economic conditions, or attempting alternative uses for the money. I recall speaking with Michael, whose family built significant wealth despite starting with very modest means. He explained their unwavering commitment to this principle. For my first paper route at age 12, my father insisted I immediately set aside 20% of every dollar I earned before spending a penny. It wasn't presented as optional or dependent on circumstances. During tough times when others stopped saving, we might have adjusted other expenses, but that 20% remained untouchable. Over decades, this single habit probably accounts for most of our family's wealth. What makes this approach particularly effective is its psychological framing. The saved portion isn't viewed as money you're choosing not to spend, but as money that was never available for spending in the first place. effectively rendering it invisible to the mental accounting that governs consumption decisions. Most practitioners implement this through automatic transfers that occur immediately after income arrives, removing both the need for willpower and the opportunity for reconsideration. The tradition often includes a hierarchy for these automatic allocations. Emergency funds first, then retirement vehicles, then other investment accounts, creating a systematic approach to building financial security. Many families maintain this discipline even during financial challenges, adjusting their lifestyle rather than abandoning the saving habit, which preserves a compound growth engine that drives long-term wealth building. Perhaps most importantly, this principle acknowledges a fundamental truth about human psychology. Most people spend whatever money is readily available to them. By removing a portion of income from consideration before lifestyle decisions are made, it harnesses this tendency rather than fighting against it. Your financial priorities become automated rather than requiring constant discipline and decision-making in the face of endless consumption temptations. Let's move to our fourth habit, which provides a powerful protection against financial setbacks. Habit number 4, multiple streams of income. Have you ever wondered why some families seem remarkably resilient even during economic downturns? One of the most distinctive Jewish financial traditions involves deliberately developing multiple income streams rather than relying on a single source of earnings. This principle of income diversification, often referred to in Jewish wisdom as not carrying all your bundles in one arm, creates both security and opportunity that single income earners rarely experience. While most Americans depend entirely on one employer for their financial survival, the Jewish tradition emphasizes developing at least 3 different income sources, typically a primary occupation, an investment portfolio that generates passive income, and often a side business or freelance activity. This approach reflects centuries of historical experience where economic or political instability could suddenly threaten any single income source. I remember meeting with Benjamin, a dentist with a successful practice who had also methodically built 2 additional income streams, a small portfolio of rental properties, and a part-time consulting business teaching dental practice management. When the 2008 recession caused many patients to postpone dental work, reducing his practice income by nearly 30%, his other income sources provided crucial stability. My grandfather always said that depending on one income source was like sitting on a one-leg stool. You might balance for a while, but eventually you'll fall, he explained. Having multiple streams meant a significant challenge became manageable rather than catastrophic. The tradition typically begins with developing expertise in a primary profession or business, then systematically building additional income sources using earnings from the first. These typically include both active income, requiring time and effort, and passive income, requiring little ongoing time once established. The emphasis isn't on working around the clock, but on strategically directing energy and capital to create income-generating assets and capabilities over time. What makes this approach particularly powerful is how each income stream can serve different financial purposes. Many practitioners allocate their primary income to living expenses, one additional stream to current savings and investments, and another to funding future opportunities or specific long-term goals. This purpose-driven allocation prevents lifestyle expansion from consuming all income growth and accelerates wealth building. The psychological benefits are equally significant. Multiple income streams create a sense of security and confidence that influences all financial decisions, reducing the likelihood of staying in unfulfilling employment situations out of fear or making panicked investment decisions during market downturns. This tradition recognizes that true financial resilience comes not just from having savings, but from maintaining capacity to generate income under varying economic conditions. Let's explore our 5th habit, which transforms how financial decisions are evaluated. Habit number 5, the long-term value perspective. Have you noticed how most people make purchasing decisions? They typically focus almost entirely on initial price rather than long-term value. One of the most powerful Jewish financial traditions involves a fundamentally different approach to evaluating purchases that I call the long-term value perspective. This habit involves carefully assessing the complete lifetime cost and benefit of significant purchases rather than focusing narrowly on immediate price or monthly payments. This approach stands in stark contrast to typical American consumer behavior. where marketing encourages focus on affordability of initial or monthly payments rather than total cost of ownership, quality, durability, or long-term financial impact. The Jewish tradition emphasizes thorough evaluation of major purchases as investments, whether they technically appreciate like real estate or depreciate like vehicles or appliances. I recall visiting Ruth's home and admiring her beautiful dining table that looked both timeless and contemporary. She explained it was actually 40 years old, purchased when she and her husband were first married and could barely afford it. "My father taught me to buy things you'll never have to replace," she said. "We spent several months saving for this table when cheaper options were available. But over decades, it's proven far less expensive than buying and replacing lower quality furniture multiple times." We applied this thinking to everything from our home to kitchen equipment to clothing. This perspective typically involves several key practices: research before purchasing, willingness to delay gratification to acquire higher quality items, considering maintenance and operating costs, and evaluating how purchases serve long-term needs rather than momentary desires. For appreciating assets like real estate, it means carefully assessing location, quality, and future marketability rather than focusing solely on current affordability or immediate needs. The approach extends beyond tangible purchases to services and experiences as well. Education, for instance, is evaluated not just for its immediate cost, but for its potential lifetime return through enhanced earning capacity, network development, and knowledge acquisition. Healthcare is viewed as an investment in long-term well-being and productivity, rather than merely an expense to be minimized. What makes this habit particularly powerful is its compound effect over decades. While the individual impact of any single purchasing decision might seem small, the aggregate effect of consistently choosing long-term value over immediate affordability transforms financial outcomes over a lifetime. It naturally counteracts consumerism's focus on immediate gratification and constant replacement, creating both financial and environmental benefits. This isn't about buying the most expensive option in every category, but about making thoughtful choices based on true lifetime value. Sometimes spending significantly more than average when quality differences justify it, and sometimes much less when they don't. It's about seeing purchases through the lens of decades rather than moments. Let's move to our sixth habit, which provides crucial protection during both prosperity and adversity. Habit number 6, strategic giving and community investment. Have you ever considered that giving money away might actually make you wealthier? One of the most counterintuitive yet powerful Jewish financial traditions involves systematic charitable giving, not primarily as a religious obligation or moral duty, but as an integral component of a sound financial strategy. This practice of regular, proportional giving creates benefits that extend far beyond spiritual or emotional satisfaction, generating practical advantages that compound over time. The tradition of tzedakah, righteous giving, typically involves dedicating a fixed percentage of income, often 10 to 20%, to charitable causes and community investments. What distinguishes this from ordinary charitable giving is its systematic nature, proportional amount, and strategic implementation. Rather than giving sporadically or emotionally, practitioners allocate a specific portion of all income to giving, treating it as a financial priority rather than an optional extra when surpluses exist. I remember speaking with Isaac, who built a successful manufacturing business from humble beginnings. When I asked about his family's remarkable financial resilience through several economic cycles, he explained, "Our commitment to giving 15% of all income, even during difficult periods, created an unexpected financial discipline. Because we always set this portion aside first, we develop habits of careful planning and prioritization with our remaining resources. Beyond that, the community relationships and network we built through our involvement with these causes repeatedly created business opportunities and support systems that prove invaluable during challenging times." What many don't realize about this tradition is its network effect. Strategic giving isn't just about the funds directed to causes, but about active participation in community institutions and initiatives. This creates connection with other community-minded individuals, often leading to business relationships, mentorship opportunities, and valuable information sharing that wouldn't otherwise be accessible. In essence, it combines financial generosity with strategic social capital development. The psychological benefits are equally significant. Research consistently shows that systematic giving creates a sense of financial sufficiency rather than scarcity, regardless of actual wealth level. This abundance mindset leads to better financial decision-making, reduced stress about money, and greater overall life satisfaction. Counterintuitively, those who give systematically often feel more financially secure than those with similar resources who don't give, influencing their relationship with money in profound ways. Perhaps most importantly, this habit recognizes that true financial success isn't measured solely by individual or family prosperity, but by the vitality of the broader community. By investing in shared institutions and supporting those in need, practitioners help create stable, thriving environments where sustainable success becomes more likely for everyone, including themselves and future generations. Let's explore our seventh and final habit, which might be the most powerful of all. Habit number 7, intergenerational wealth thinking. Have you considered how your financial decisions today might affect your great-grandchildren? Most Americans think about money primarily in terms of their own lifetime, saving for their retirement, and perhaps leaving something for their children. One of the most distinctive Jewish financial traditions involves a much longer time frame, deliberate planning across multiple generations, with financial decisions evaluated not just for their immediate or lifetime impact, but for their effect on descendants 50, 75, or 100-plus years in the future. This intergenerational wealth thinking represents perhaps the most profound difference between typical American financial planning and the Jewish tradition. Rather than focusing primarily on individual financial independence, it emphasizes building and preserving family financial strength across generations through careful planning, education, and stewardship. The perspective shifts from my money to a multi-generational family legacy that each generation preserves and grows for the benefit of future descendants. I recall a conversation with Rebecca, whose family maintained significant wealth across 5 generations despite numerous economic cycles and challenges. When I asked about their approach, she explained, "Each generation in our family is taught that we're not owners of our wealth, but stewards, responsible for nurturing it and passing it forward in stronger condition. My great-grandfather established our family foundation, an investment partnership structure, in the 1920s with guidelines we still follow. Major financial decisions aren't evaluated just for their effect on us, but for how they might impact the family 75 years from now. This long-term perspective completely changes how we approach spending, investing, and business opportunities. The practical implementation typically involves several key elements: creating proper legal structures, family trusts, partnerships, or foundations, developing formal or informal family governance systems for decision-making across generations, systematic financial education for younger family members, and establishing clear values and principles that guide wealth management. These elements work together to provide both tangible and philosophical infrastructure for long-term wealth preservation and growth. What makes this approach particularly powerful is how it naturally counteracts the common pattern of wealth dissolution across generations, often summarized as shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. By embedding long-term stewardship values and creating appropriate structures before wealth is substantial, families following this tradition dramatically increase the likelihood that financial resources will benefit multiple future generations rather than being depleted through excessive consumption, poor management, or family conflict. This principle doesn't require significant existing wealth to implement. It operates as effectively for families just beginning their wealth-building journey as for those with substantial assets. The key element is a perspective shift from short-term to long-term thinking, from individual to familial prosperity, and from consumption to stewardship. Changes any family can begin implementing regardless of their current financial position. We've explored 7 powerful financial habits drawn from Jewish tradition: treating financial education as a family value, living below your means as a virtue, paying yourself first, developing multiple income streams, maintaining a long-term value perspective, practicing strategic giving, and embracing intergenerational wealth thinking. These aren't quick-fix tactics, but profound principles that work together to create sustainable financial success across generations. The single most important insight I promise to share is this: true wealth building isn't primarily about sophisticated investment strategies or maximizing returns. It's about consistently practicing basic financial principles with discipline and patience over long periods. The Jewish financial tradition recognizes that predictable, modest success sustained over decades will invariably outperform spectacular short-term gains followed by instability or reversal. It values steady progress in the right direction over impressive but unsustainable performance. Implementing these principles doesn't require changing your career, making more money, or having specialized financial knowledge. It simply means adopting a different perspective on the resources already flowing through your life. Seeing money as a tool for creating security and opportunity rather than primarily as a means for consumption or status display. It means taking a longer view, considering impacts beyond your immediate circumstances, and recognizing that small, consistent actions compound dramatically over time. As the saying goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. The same wisdom applies to these financial habits. Regardless of your current financial situation, implementing these principles today begins a process that can transform your family's financial trajectory for generations to come. If this video has helped you recognize powerful financial principles you might apply in your own life, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more practical wisdom about building genuine wealth. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these habits resonated most with your situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, remember that sustainable wealth isn't built through get-rich-quick schemes or financial tricks, but through time-tested principles practiced consistently across years and generations. That's the true secret to lasting prosperity.